Hi, Emma.
Hi, Jerry. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing pretty good. This
Hello?
interview is for my American history class, and
Okay.
I just want to start by thanking you for letting me interview you. And we're gonna start with just some basic background information, okay?
Okay.
And so the first question is, what is your full name?
Gerald Chester Elder.
Perfect. And when is your birthday, and where were you born?
November 11th, 1941, Sullivan.
Pretty exciting. And where do you live now?
I live at 1936 E, 1265 North Road, Shelbyville.
All right. And are you married and do you have kids?
Yes and yes.
Do you want to tell me about your kids?
I have 4: Brad, Brian, Neil, Erica.
All right. And what branch did you serve in the Army?
Air Force,
All right. And how long did you serve?
21 years.
And did you serve in any wars?
Yes, Vietnam.
All right. And so
Why? These are the same questions were on that sheet.
yes, they are. I sent them to her so that way you could look over them. I didn't know you were actually going to answer them on the sheet.
I did. Answered every one of them.
I
Go ahead.
see that. All right. Um, so we're gonna talk about before serving and your education. So did you receive any education?
I went to Sullivan Elementary, Sullivan Middle School, Sullivan High School.
All right. And were you pretty popular in school? Did you have a lot of friends?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends.
And how old were you when you started school and ended school?
I would think I started kindergarten at 5 and finished at 17.
And was that pretty normal for people at your
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
About everybody got an education at that time?
just about.
All right. And did you go to college?
Yes, I graduated Lakeland. Uh, I served. I went one semester at Texas Christian, one semester at Everett Community College, and and one semester at Midwestern University in Wichita Falls.
That is a lot of school. What did you major in? Or
Uh, I'm trying to think of what it was called. Occupational education.
and did you pursue a career in that?
Sort of. I'm a medical technologist, which is part of occupational education.
And what can you describe that a little bit more? Like what did you do?
Okay, I I was a lab tech. I drew blood. I ran all the blood chemistries, hematologies, everything that's done in the lab. I did,
Did you enjoy
and
that?
I started. I taught microbiology in Texas,
Oh
and
wow.
then when I came here, I started microbiology at Shelby Memorial. They'd never had it before.
Hmm. That is pretty interesting.
It
All
was
right. And now we're going to talk about your life at home and how was that?
at home. Oh, not much to report. My father was, oh well, let's say he drank too much.
Yeah.
My mother was a great woman, but my dad was not until he gave it up, and then he became a pretty good guy.
Well, that's good.
But I had an older brother who got killed in a car wreck,
Oh no.
and a sister that was born in 1956 died of cancer in I think 1985, something like that, 86.
That was pretty
So not
young.
very old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, would you say you grew up in poverty or were you middle class or high
No,
class?
not poverty, but I'd say we were. lower to middle class
Yeah.
at the very best.
Yeah. So, did you have like any favorite memories you would like to share with your siblings?
Uh, Mostly my older brother and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents in the summer, and not much to share. We'd help milk cows and we'd chase the chickens and stuff like that, but nothing out of the ordinary. We played a lot of ball, but that's about it.
Were you in any sports?
I played a lot of baseball, uh, little league, pony league, even played some American Legion. And but then I went into service at 17. So
Yeah. All right. And so I just have a couple more background questions to talk to you about. What were the names of your parents?
George Dale Elder, they called him Bear, and Evelyn Elder.
All right. And did any of your family serve, or were you the first?
I was the first.
That's pretty cool. And did anybody in your family make you feel inspired to start serving?
No, I just wanted to get out of Sullivan and do something else.
Yeah.
And I did.
I don't blame you. It's a pretty small town.
Yeah.
And all right. So now we're going to move on to your questions about serving. And so just the basic ones. Were you drafted?
No, I enlisted.
All right. And what inspired you to serve?
I don't really know. I just wanted out of Sullivan and I just wanted to go different places. And I thought the Air Force would help me do that and help me get an education, which it did.
That's good. And so was your education paid for by the Army or military? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Even after I got out, they paid me tax-free dollars to go to Lakeland and Eastern.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And was your family hesitant about you going to serve, or were they excited for you?
It was sort of non-committal. They weren't either for or against,
yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you said you were 17 when you joined?
Yeah.
And so were you, like, you were 17 when you started going to boot camp?
Yeah.
That is pretty...
In August in San Antonio, Texas. And Bo was hot.
I can't even imagine. All right.
No.
And so how did you how did you hear about the Air Force and stuff?
A recruiter came to the high school in my senior year and talked about various options that were available. And when I first joined, I was in radar, and I was stationed in northern Illinois after school, and every place I would be transferred from Illinois was north.
Really?
And like Minnesota, Alaska, places like that. I said, if I'm gonna re-enlist, I'm gonna do something else. So I got the chance to go into medical laboratory specialist, what it was called then, and I went to Gunter Air Force Base, and then got my second training in Carswell and Fort Worth, Texas, and after that, Vietnam.
Were you pretty nervous whenever you found out you were going to the war?
Yes.
And
no.
Like, how did they even decide that?
I think they just drew numbers at certain career fields. Depends on where you were on that list. And the one guy, I remember the one guy from the first sergeant's office came over to the lab and he says, Elder, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to rice paddy number 3. And he just laughed. That was not what he knew. I was going to Southeast Asia.
Yeah. So you worked in Vietnam as like a lab specialist? Is that what you did while you were there? So
yes, I did.
Were you did you ever see any active fighting or anything like that?
Oh, no. Okay, once in a while, we would fly from Don Long Air Base or Carat and fly a patient into the Philippines. And every now and then you'd hear gunfire on the bottom of the aircraft. If it was in the evening, the Viet Cong would lay in that big, tall elephant grass and take pot shots at you as you were leaving.
That is
But
terrifying.
that's about it. It was scary at times.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so, did you have a lot of like people that you felt comforted by, a lot of friends or anything?
Yeah, I did. I had one friend especially. His name was Leonard Ressler. He was from Las Vegas, Nevada, and his birthday was on February 29th. So we're always kidding him about he's 12 years old. Has a birthday every 4 years. But he was really my best friend.
Do you still talk to him?
No, I haven't seen him. And another friend of mine, we were stationed together in Spain for 3 years, Don Sloan. He lives in Tarboro, North Carolina. And Brenda and I go out there occasionally. They're awfully nice folks.
Yeah, that's good that you're still in touch with them. So, yeah. How long were you in Vietnam, like, in that war?
2 years.
2 years?
From January of 65 till December of 66.
Did you have any trouble, like, communicating with your home people, your family, or anything?
It was difficult. Because, let's see, I was there and we communicated letters back and forth, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
No phone calls over there. There was no cell phones back then, dear.
Nope, no zooming.
No.
Were you pretty sad? Did you miss being at home?
I was homesick some, but then we got so busy, and I got through it okay.
Yeah. And now, did you have a wife with you while you were there?
Or no, I wasn't married.
All right. And so, what is your most memorable story while you were serving?
In the service. I didn't have much. Well, I do too. I think I wrote this in a note on the last page. Once, when I was first going to lab school, I was given an assignment to go to Gunter Air Force Base. And I drove to Montgomery, Alabama, and I stopped at the gas station. And I said, could you tell me where Gunter Air Force Base is? He says, you go right down this highway right here, and it's about 10 miles, and you'll see the big lights, that would resemble a gatehouse, and that's Gunter Air Force Base. Okay, thank you. So I drove about 10 miles. I looked, there's this great big brick building with a gatehouse and a guard or something standing inside. So I drove up, pulled out my orders, and handed it to him. He said, son, this is Kilby Prison. I think you want to go on down the road a couple of miles to Gunter Air Force Base. So I went to the prison instead of the Air Force Base, but he got a chuckle out of it. So
yeah.
Did I.
Not quite the right place for you to be.
Yeah.
All right. And gonna go back to the war, actually. Were you, like, whenever you were there, were you just helping, like, the sick people? Like, what did you...
No, I did work on guys that would come in, and they would have some lab work done before they went back to station, make sure it was negative, if you get my drift.
And then
they'd have a blood test to make sure they were okay to go back to their wives. But most of the lab work I did was on military people. Yeah.
And so was there like a hospital base for you to be at? Like where did you stay?
It was a dispensary. It had lab, x-ray, 2 flight surgeons, and the flight surgeons, the flight crew had their office there, and the dental clinic was also in the same building. So that's where Leonard Ressler worked and the dental clinic that was in the same building.
So you were just hanging out in there most of the time, and did you have like a house or did you stay with people?
You know, this is the funny part. The first 6 months I was there, they didn't have a base housing. They put us in the Trocadero Hotel in Bangkok, Thailand.
Uh,
Yeah, that was pretty tough.
yeah,
We rode the bus to work every day.
yeah, that's crazy. And so was
Yeah.
was it a lot of people with you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of people. Well,
that's
Bangkok's a big city. Bangkok's probably as big as Chicago.
yeah. So did you ever meet any of the people who were
Oh
there?
sure.
Like from different cultures and stuff? Did you ever
Yeah,
like
yeah. They were more westernized than a lot of Vietnamese, the people in Thailand. A lot of them spoke really good English,
so
but Vietnamese, not so much.
yeah. Did you ever feel like discriminated against? Like were they mean to you while you were there?
Oh no,
There
not
were.
at all.
That's good. So there was no like
And we were helping their economy.
yeah. So they were pretty nice to you. That's good.
They
And
were.
so what was your scariest moment while you were there?
I don't remember having too scary a moment. We were flying a chop. I was helping hold an IV pole on a helicopter leaving Don Muang going to Tan Son Nhut Air Base in Saigon, and it got shot up, but just on the outside, nothing went through the base of it. That was kind of scary.
Yeah. So would you say you were probably pretty scared for your life when that happened, or were you keeping calm?
I just worried that something else was going to happen, and a bigger ammunition might shoot a hole in the bottom of the helicopter, but it never happened.
Yeah. And all right. So what was your ranking?
I was a master sergeant,
And
MSGT.
what does that mean?
That means I was two below the highest ranking non-commissioned officer in the Air Force. You had Chief Master Sergeant, Senior Master Sergeant, and Master Sergeant.
It's pretty good.
I was Master Sergeant. Yeah, I did pretty good.
So did you like have to wear the uniform and everything even though you were working in the lab?
I wore whites.
And
white top and white shoes.
Did you ever earn like any badges or anything or any awards while you were there?
Oh, yeah, I had quite a few. I got Air Force Commendation. I got the Vietnam Service. I got another Vietnam Medal. We got a unit citation, Presidential Unit Citation, and I had several other awards, other places I was. Those were the ones I got in Vietnam.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And are you glad you decided to serve?
I'm very glad for one reason. My medical insurance. My first heart attack was in 2004, and the bill was $106,000.
Oh my gosh.
And I paid $3,000.
That's pretty good.
My second heart attack in 2017, I paid nothing. Because the first one I had just had TRICARE, which is the military insurance. And then after I turned 65, I had Medicare and TRICARE, and everything was paid.
So did you feel, you think that made it all worth it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So do you feel like they took care of you pretty good once you got back from the war?
Yeah, they still do.
Yep. So you're not struggling or anything?
My hearing aids, I go to Danville, get new hearing aids, and I'm going to go get some new ones here maybe next month.
All right, that is pretty.
Oh, and they cover Brenda too.
Oh, that's pretty good.
You better believe it.
And so did
But
they?
she had a tough month.
Yeah, I heard about everything going on
Yeah.
while you guys were in Gulf Shores.
Scary.
Did you guys end up having to go home early from the beach?
Month early.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Is she doing good
Yeah,
now?
it was. She's like I told Matt, she's off the list, off the disabled list now. She's raring to go. She's back at work. So
That's good.
God for that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I was pretty worried about her for a second.
Yeah. So was I.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to finish up with what happened after serving. And would you say that it has helped you become who you are today? Like, did you learn a lot of life skills while you were there?
Yes, I did. I learned how to treat people better, good manners. You know, like hold a door open for somebody, let them go in front of you, and just be courteous.
Yeah.
And that's why I learned that in basic training, and that's what our old drill instructor, Sergeant Kittredge. My God, that's a long time ago. And he taught us good manners and yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and I still do that today.
Yeah. So you learned quite a bit there.
Yes, I did.
And did you struggle any after the war, mentally or physically?
No.
That's good. And what was it like coming home? Did you receive a lot of support from people?
No, not at all. Now, 15 years later, I get thank you for your service. But when we come back, Vietnam soldiers and airmen were not well liked at all. They called them baby killers and this, that, and the other. And Vietnam War people were not very well liked when they came home.
Yeah. So Americans weren't supporting that war at all?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
See, I don't really know much about the Vietnam War, so.
It was, well, there was a protest every day in the United States somewhere.
Yeah.
About finishing the war, and it wasn't a popular war.
So were you there until the war ended, or did you come back before it was over?
No, I came back way. I think the Tet Offensive, as they call it, was in '75 when all the people were coming out of helicopters and jumping off buildings. I'd say '75 was about the end of Vietnam.
And when did you leave from Vietnam?
December '66.
All right, so you were back home for a while before that was over.
Yes.
And did you continue to serve after you left the war, or was that when you stopped?
I served until 1980.
Oh wow, so it was a pretty long run there.
Yeah.
And they never.
Yeah,
they didn't want you to go back ever?
No, I didn't have to. Once I was there for 2 terms, wasn't called for.
That's good.
I went to work in a hospital, and I've worked in hospitals ever since.
So after you left, did you continue to work in hospitals still?
Yes, I still, until I retired, I worked at Shelby Memorial for 32 years.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And what would you say to someone if they wanted to enter the war? Or not the war, the
I would go. I'd tell them, go for it. If you're in doubt, the service is a good way to get started. You make some money. You can get an education in the service.
Yeah.
If you want, but I would recommend the military. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they paid you for being in the military?
Oh yeah. Not much when I first started. I think I made $90 a month when I first was in, but it got progressively better.
Was $90 a month like the normal for back then?
For basic trainees, yeah, it was.
It's pretty crazy.
It was crazy.
$90 a month now wouldn't get you a whole lot of anything.
$90 a month back then would probably equate to 400 or 500 now.
Yeah.
Because everything. I mean, you could get a soda for 5 cents and a hamburger for 15 cents. So you see how it would equate
Yeah.
to now.
Well, I appreciate you for letting me interview you for this.
Happy to do it.
I had.
Good luck with the kid.
Thank you.
March what?
March 15th.
But you think it's going to be early?
Yes, I'm hoping she'll be here February 28th.
That's only 2 days away.
I know. I'm really hoping she comes soon.
You better get off the damn phone and take care of that.
I know. We've got
good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoyed talking to you too. You have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.